how do you look at ONDC from a transactional perspective, right? When a retail consumer makes an order that has been fulfilled by the ONDC network at the backend, how does it transaction flow? How do the logics work, assigning essentially the order to the right delivery partner or the most efficient delivery partner, and so on and so forth? It would be really helpful if you could, kind of help us visualize that.
Absolutely. So I think ONDC in terms of architecture is extremely unbundled, like
Mhm.
Anand touched upon. Uh, Somewhere, if you compare it to a traditional platform, it's not very different. It's just if you think of the transaction flow in three stages. So the way I like to explain ONDC to most people I talk to is there's a demand side and a supply side. A consumer originates or a SME originates the transaction from the demand side using an interface or an app, either both self-service or assisted is possible.
Right.
When they go into the journey, the first step is where they actually do a search or what's called the discovery stage. So at the discovery stage, that's when the gateway, which Protean has been responsible for the first wave of this rollout, is it comes in and broadcasts that particular search request to all the relevant participants on the network from the supply side, and you get a response back from those participants. Now it moves to the second stage of the process, which is the selection and the handshake stage, where the two network participants actually talk to each other and set an agreement on the dynamic contract. So ONDC is so much more complex than a typical platform, because in a platform you have the platform owner predefining
Right.
the rules of the game to both parties. Over here, it dynamically requires both parties to negotiate as the transaction or the order is actually in flight. So that is where the discovery, and then it moves to the order handshake. The next step is where the logistics gets selected. So the consumer or the merchant gets the opportunity now of choosing how they would like the logistics factored into the equation. If the supplier has their own logistics, or if they would want to arrange for their own logistics for that particular pickup. All of those options again are made available by the open network through an
Right.
open logistics hub where all the logistics companies have gone and integrated. And finally, you have the payment process, which continues as per our normal payment gateway flows, which is again embedded into the demand side apps. So I think that's how I would explain it to a layperson, that there is a huge opportunity to play today on both sides. On the demand side, obviously, the companies or the organizations who would play an active role are those who have the end customer connect, whether it is through the digital connect or whether it is through an assisted connect. And I think that's where, especially in rural India, last mile partners like uh, PayNearby and Spice Money actually are doing a significant job of engaging rural India.
Right.
And on the supply side, there's a huge opportunity to bring in both small kiranas, neighborhood stores, as well as some of the largest brands in the country who have already come onto the open network. So, just
Got
in
it.
statistical terms, today you have about 10 or 11 apps which are already live as buyer apps on the ONDC network. You have around 32 seller side network participants who are also live on the network. And if you look at the pipeline which is there on ONDC's website, and this is all from public data that I'm sharing with you, it's
Right.
in close to 9,000 plus interested participants at
Wow.
various stages. So it just goes to show that in an unbundled world, every single new element that plugs into the network creates a exponential amplification effect, because it is not just a platform multiplier that you're looking at now. It's almost an exponential multiplier.
Definitely.